Megan Kerrigan, wife of astronomer CEO Andy Byron, has just broken headlines by revealing new details regarding her awareness of her soon-to-be ex-husband's now viral affair. She first took to social media to share a heartbreaking post where she said she wouldn't be able to survive this, and shared the trauma she has had since the incident. Since then, she has gone from sad and confused to full-blown nuclear mode on Byron. Today, we go over the bombshell details she has revealed, as well as the status of her separation from Andy Byron. There's a reason stadium kiss cams last only moments. They're built for quick laughs, not corporate annihilation. Yet, in the time it took Boston's big screen to zoom in, Andy Byron and HR chief Kristen Cabot managed to rewrite their resumes in real time. He threw an arm around her shoulders, fingers laced like a teenage crush. She leaned in, then froze when she realized 60,000 strangers and an ocean of phone lenses were staring back. Byron dipped his head, the universal flinch of a man caught red-handed, while Chris Martin quipped, "Either they're having an affair, or they're just very shy," sending the crowd into a roar that drowned out the opening chords. From the cheap seats to the VIP suites, phones snapped to record. Within minutes, slow-motion replays flooded TikTok, Reddit detectives stitched multi-angle timelines, and Coldplay Gate trended before the encore. What looked like a harmless concert gag was already sharpening into Exhibit A of a scandal. But the real shock wasn't on the screen. It was waiting online, in a perfectly polished apology nobody bothered to verify. And that's where the frenzy truly exploded. Before the confetti settled on the field, a slick statement from Andy Byron materialized on X, complete with soulful wording about privacy violated and a desperate Coldplay lyric from Fix You. It looked genuine, corporate-grade remorse, perfect punctuation, even a stamped-on blue check. TikTok duet chains treated it like gospel. Reaction channels read it in somber tones. Screenshots bounced across group chats faster than the encore track. 8 hours later, a second apology popped up. Same name, same photo, opposite tone. No regret, a jab about Coldplay's dated set list, and a final line that basically said, "Cry harder." The whiplash was instant. Was the first heartfelt? Was the second a troll? Comment wars lit up like stage lights. Fact-checkers tried to trace headers, but the algorithm had already crowned Chaos King. Because online, sincerity and satire earn the same clicks if they arrive first and feel spicy. By dawn, news outlets were quoting one, then retracting, then quoting the other. Every contradiction poured gasoline on the fire. Every repost minted fresh outrage. And while strangers argued over commas in two fake letters, one person made a move that spoke louder than any PR script. But that quiet click of a delete key, it was about to flip the entire narrative. While the internet argued over punctuation, Megan skipped the noise and performed digital surgery. 1 minute her Facebook bio read Megan Byron. The next, the surname was gone. No teary caption, no cryptic emoji, just a clean slice through 12 years of matrimony. Hours later, the entire account evaporated. Instagram followed suit. To a world addicted to oversharing, her vanishing act hit harder than any public meltdown. It whispered a truth no fake apology could mask. She already knew. Friends later leaked that Megan had suspected the office friendship for months. She'd saved screenshots, noted hotel charges that never matched Andy's client dinners, and even drafted a heartbreak post she never published. "I won't survive this unless the truth comes out." Instead of posting, she went quiet, hired counsel, and let the kiss cam confirm what her gut had screamed all along. The moment her last name disappeared, #SupportMegan erupted across socials. Sympathy shifted from popcorn commentary to laser-focused outrage. And that silent click of a delete key did more than any press conference ever could. It made her the story's moral North Star, and painted Andy as a man running out of alibis. Because if a wife vanishes online, the next thing to appear is usually evidence. And the proof she'd been stockpiling? It wasn't lyrical or heartfelt. It was cold, time-stamped, and about to surface for everyone to see. It started with a single spreadsheet, anonymous, grainy, and posted to Reddit at 2:17 a.m. A column of Uber charges lined up with Kristen Cabot's apartment address. Another showed back-to-back hotel stays 1 block from astronomer's quarterly off-site. Within minutes, digital detectives overlaid the timestamps with Andy's keynote appearances and discovered a mysterious 3-hour blackout between sessions. Coincidence? TikTok wasn't buying it. Then came the Slack leaks. Screenshots of late-night messages. Need to de-stress after that demo you free? That looked harmless until paired with those hotel invoices. A follow-up text, room 722 again, left nothing to imagination. Even skeptics admitted the breadcrumbs matched too neatly to ignore. Cue the flood. Expense reports flagged client entertainment but filed on weekends. Corporate Amex charges at a boutique florist in Kristen's neighborhood every other Friday. Security badge data showing CEO and HR chief swiping into headquarters after midnight with only 15 minutes between entrances. Each drop felt surgically timed. Just as outrage cooled, a fresh document reignited the blaze. Mainstream media finally dove in, but TikTok sleuths had beaten them to the punch by stitching Google Maps routes, seat maps from the concert, and LinkedIn travel selfies into a forensic mini-series. Hashtags morphed from hashtag Coldplay Gate to hashtag receipts on repeat. Memes of Andy labeled data genius now read data time-stamped. Astronomers' official channels stayed silent, but employees felt the heat. Slack channels renamed themselves hashtag 722watch. Someone pinned a reminder, HR guidelines apply to everyone, apparently. Investors began dialing for updates no press office could give. And as each new receipt dropped, one thing became crystal clear. The story had moved beyond a messy marriage into a full-blown credibility crisis for the entire company. Because when insiders smell blood, they don't just leak receipts, they unload culture files. And that's exactly what happened next. The receipts didn't just validate a rumor, they opened floodgates. Former astronomer staff who once whispered in DMs now broadcasted entire dossiers on Blind and Glassdoor. A 2023 review titled Brilliant Product, Brutal Leadership resurfaced, suddenly reading less like sour grapes and more like prophecy. Threads filled with tales of 19 rehearsal demo run-throughs, 3 a.m. Slack pings marked urgent, and quarterly goals so aggressive they came with burnout disclaimers. One ex-engineer shared a screenshot of a private channel called hashtag Stay Till It Ships, where Andy allegedly tracked green dots to shame anyone who went offline before midnight. Another posted a video clip from an all-hands, Bryon pacing like a TED speaker, quoting radical candor, then berating a junior dev for a pixel misalignment. The clip went viral overnight. Hashtag KissCam Karma, they called it. The pattern clicked. The same leader who flinched under stadium lights had cultivated a culture of fear and optics over substance. Investors started asking hard questions. Partners quietly purged congratulatory tweets. Recruiters swarmed LinkedIn inboxes with, "Rough week? We're hiring." Inside Astronomer, morale cratered. Employees renamed the company wiki Astronomer After Dark and began cataloging every unaddressed HR complaint, some dating back years. Because when the person at the top is exposed, every ignored memo suddenly looks like smoking gun evidence. And remember, the woman in that clip wasn't just any colleague. She was the head of HR. So what happens when the watchdog is caught cozying up to the boss she's supposed to police? The fallout for Kristen Cabot was only just beginning. At most companies, HR is the moral firewall, the team that tells everyone else, "Not on my watch." At Astronomer, the firewall was suddenly the spark. Kristen Cabot had once bragged on LinkedIn that she earned CEO's trust faster than a product demo. Now that quote lived beneath a flood of clown emojis. Employees reposted it with captions like, "Well, she wasn't kidding." Inside the building, faith in the system collapsed overnight. Anonymous Slack channels lit up. If HR's in the kiss cam, who do we escalate to? Complaints long buried in confidential folders resurfaced as Google Docs, shared in real time like underground newspapers. Every mandatory boundaries slide deck felt like satire now, because the face teaching the rules was the same one hugging the rule breaker. Legally, the optics were radioactive. If an undisclosed relationship existed, regulators and insurers would ask whether performance reviews, promotions, or salary bumps were compromised. One missed disclosure means every signed NDA, every harassment case, every terminated contract could be re-examined under hostile light. Attorneys smelled opportunity, and plaintiff firms began tweeting, "If you worked at Astronomer, call us." Kristen's response? Silence thick enough to hear. Her Twitter went private, her LinkedIn froze, and friends close to the situation, told reporters she was following counsel's advice. That phrase usually translates to, the liability math just got real. Board members convened an emergency session with outside counsel. Sources whispered about administrative leave pending investigation, but no memo surfaced, only more questions. Without HR's credibility, every internal procedure suddenly looked like a potential lawsuit exhibit. The company's compliance engine had thrown a rod, and in the vacuum, perception hardened into verdict. Employees renamed the internal HR channel #HugResources. Memes replaced respect, and investors watched a governance nightmare unfold in full screen. The watchdog wasn't just asleep, she'd been caught on camera sharing popcorn with the burglar. Yet even as astronomers scorched from the inside, the outside world was about to crank the heat higher, because late-night comedy writers had found their newest punchline. The internet had already set the stage. Late-night TV just added the laugh track. Jimmy Fallon opened with a gleaming smile, then ran a parody kiss cam that locked onto cardboard cutouts of CEOs hiding behind spreadsheets. Audience lost it. Stephen Colbert followed, delivering a deadpan "HR stands for hug ready," before cueing a montage of Coldplay lyrics reimagined as breakup emails. Within hours, SNL teaser clips surfaced, a stadium cam morphing into a corporate deposition, Kristen portrayed as the compliance Cupid who fires arrows straight into onboarding manuals. Every joke etched the scandal deeper into pop culture bedrock. Merchmakers smelled blood. Etsy lit up with Coldplay Gate hoodies, mugs that read, "Fix You, Our Marriage," and stickers featuring Andy's duck and cover pose under the caption, "Algorithm Error." Hashtags evolved accordingly. #HRomance trended. Meme accounts churned out side-by-side photos of the hug and stock photo workplace trainings. Even Elon tossed in a one-liner, "Live by the data, die by the kiss cam," instantly minted into thousands of quote tweets. Humor made the headlines sticky. Facts could be debated. Punchlines just repeated until they sounded like truth. And with every punchline, astronomers' silence felt less strategic and more like an admission. Meanwhile, inside the company's glass walls, that silence was about to shatter. For when laughter dies down, shareholders start talking exit plans. Silence can stall a news cycle, but inside a corporation, it's a countdown clock. 48 hours after the kiss cam went viral, Astronomers Board emerged from its emergency conclave with a bland 8-line press release. Andy Byron had stepped down, effective immediately. No warm thank yous, no pursuing new opportunities, just a VPN-scrubbed email address for media inquiries that promptly auto-replied, "Mailbox full." Kristen Cabot was simultaneously placed on administrative leave pending an independent review, a phrase lawyers use when they're deciding which lifeboat still has room. Into the vacuum stepped co-founder Pete DeJoy, title, interim CEO, mission, stop the bleeding. His first move wasn't a town hall pep talk. It was freezing all discretionary spend and hiring a crisis comms firm so expensive their invoices come with carbon offsets. Next came the investor call, 5 minutes of scripted calm, followed by 30 minutes of open-line panic as enterprise customers demanded to know who'd been signing their SOC2 paperwork while HR was hand-holding the boss at a concert. Meanwhile, Astronomer's valuation shed 9 figures in private market whispers. Competitors circled like sharks with job ads that read, "For engineers tired of midnight Slack pings." Internally, directors juggled succession chess. Finance wanted a numbers person, product wanted a visionary, and legal wanted anyone who wouldn't spawn depositions. The power vacuum wasn't just about who sat in the corner office. It was about whose fingerprints would end up on the eventual settlement checks. Employees felt the turbulence instantly. Friday's all hands turned into a Q&A bloodbath. Will performance reviews be rerun? Who investigates HR when HR's the problem? Are we still getting bonuses? DeJoy's answers were half-measured, half legalese, and wholly unsatisfying. By Monday, LinkedIn showed a 300% spike in astronomer resume updates. And the final irony? The same data-driven culture that once boasted dashboards for everything now ran blind, because the analytics wizard who built the metrics was gone, and so was the trust that made those numbers mean anything. But before we tally the damage, remember, all of this started with a single, seemingly innocent stadium tradition. So what's the true cost of a 30-second hug? And could it happen to the next phone-waving executive in your feed? Stick around for the conclusion, because we're about to connect the dots between public spectacle and corporate survival. One split-second hug and a stadium's worth of smartphones detonated a billion-dollar narrative, proving that in 2025, image shatters the moment integrity slips. A CEO's polished persona evaporated, an HR chief became a liability, and a wife's quiet name change carried more weight than any press release. Receipts trumped rhetoric, memes turned into market panic, and silence became its own confession. So the next time you see a kiss cam, remember, every cheerful zoom is a loaded lens, and every public moment is potential evidence. Power doesn't hide in boardrooms anymore. It hides in plain sight until a crowd of strangers decides to click record. If one concert clip can rewrite careers overnight, imagine what your phone could expose tomorrow. If you want the next breakdown before it breaks the internet, tap that subscribe button, ring the bell, and buckle up, because the algorithm's already buffering its next viral implosion.